This is a Podfire production.
Welcome to the Two Cripples, One Pair of Legs podcast, where every fortnight, your hosts, Adam Sheppard and Natasha Price, take a long, hard look at the world through the eyes of two people who believe in grabbing life by the balls and squeezing tighter than Borat in a Mankini. The good, the bad, the often cringeworthy, but most importantly, the hilarity that can, and often does, ensue. If you're looking for fluffy sunshine and rainbows, My Little Pony meets Care Bears type of purity, you've probably come to the wrong place. If you're after good conversation, warped humour, quick wit, a touch of sarcasm, two proud people with disabilities with the no holes barred, leave no stump unturned outlook on life, welcome home. Hi.
Hi there, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. We say the same thing every single week as if we hadn't seen each other at all. And
I know.
to be fair, we spend way too much time in each other's pockets.
Yes. Yes, we do.
And you'd probably fit into my pocket. You're quite miniature.
I am. Miniature Adam.
Pint size.
Pint size. I fit into most duffel bags and overhead baggage compartments.
Duffel bags is what? Is that when someone like then shoves you into the boot and drops you in the ocean or something?
Yes. Just thought I'd share that.
Some kind of weird bloody Godfather shit going on
I
here.
just thought I'd share that piece of information if somebody decided they wanted to kidnap me.
Are you hoping? Please don't make me deal with this woman anymore.
How's your week been?
Yeah, good. Well, you know, we've had a interesting week. We've got a big project on the horizon.
I'm
hey,
super excited.
Yeah, I know, me
about
too.
this.
So
it's something that we've been trying to get moving for a while.
For a while, at least 12 months.
Yeah.
But we actually finally made moves yesterday to get this thing off the ground, and we are in go mode.
It's awesome, and not without the awesome help of our friends here at Podfire, so thank you guys.
Yes, exactly right. And we will be releasing more information about this, but
yeah, because we're
actually,
not telling you.
by the time this podcast is released, we're hoping to actually have a lot more
Hey,
info out there.
Listen. You and I both know that everything we do, I mean everything,
I know where you're going with this,
takes 400 times longer than it should.
Yes.
Because shit just happens.
It does. I mean, it really does. All best laid
does.
the best laid plans and all that. But yeah, like you and I, we make plans and somehow
it all goes to shit.
Everything we make goes to shit. Like nothing ever works out right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, whether it's me trying to die on you or, you know,
Yeah. You have a nasty habit of trying, of dying or attempting to die at the worst times.
It's usually whilst we're doing this podcast, so let's hope that today that's not going
or
to be
driving
an
in
issue.
peak hour traffic in Sydney.
Yes.
At 10 o'clock at night, thanks.
Yeah.
Suck.
I know, right? I'm sorry. But yes, so, well, yes, the plan is that in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have a lot of releases to do with this new project. But that may not actually occur because this is us and, well, yeah.
Anyway, should we kick this off with, do you want to do soapbox and we'll have a bit of a, do you want to do soapbox first?
And have a little bit of a interesting conversation.
Yeah, this one's it's going to get a bit serious.
Yeah, it's going to get a bit controversial.
Oh yeah, it will get controversial. But you know,
we're not known for holding back.
Controversial is why we have an explicit rating on this podcast.
Yeah, or is that just because I swear way too much?
Well, I do too,
yeah.
but I think you swear more. You're a potty mouth bloody thing, aren't you?
Yeah, I know. I blame you Aussies. I never used to swear until I came over here.
Fuck off, you did not.
No, seriously, like I was a person that very, very rarely swore. Like I certainly didn't use the F word and the other derivatives of it.
Now look at you.
I know, now I don't shut the fuck up.
That seemed forced, that one.
Well, yes, it was, but the thing is, it's such a great word, so much emphasis on things and can be used in so many different ways.
I know. Have you ever seen that? There's that little, if you haven't seen it, look it up. I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube or something, but it's like the different ways the word fuck can be used.
Yes, it's the same as the word shit. Shit and fuck, they're both No. Okay. Anyway.
Oh.
Okay. Let's actually move on to our first segment.
I think that's a good idea.
Like two cripples using a beach towel to skydive, this could go anywhere. Welcome to the soapbox session.
That wasn't a very good piano impression.
I know. I'm not sure what it was. Don't look at me.
No wonder your niece laughs at you.
Yeah, well, I try to make my niece laugh.
Your niece laugh. Speak English, woman.
What are you talking about? I'm English. I don't speak English. Okay, am I taking the lead with this, or are you?
Look, I think for safety's sake, I think you should, and I will join in when
it's appropriate.
When it's appropriate.
Will it ever be? Okay, so in today's soapbox session, we're going to talk about the fact that I, as a woman, seem to be getting 6 million opportunities handed to me, in the whole female empowerment spectrum. So whether this is from talking opportunities, media opportunities, work, and opportunities to apply for awards and nominations and all that kind of stuff.
And it's freaking awesome.
Which is brilliant because, female empowerment is important, and as women we've always been on the back foot with that stuff. However, to me, none of this stuff is really going to work out if we keep segregating. Mm-hmm. Equality is never going to be something that is a reality if we keep segregating the sexes, male, female, or whatever gender you wish to identify as. It's never going to be equal for everyone if we're all not given a seat at the table. And it's exactly the same as when we talk about disability. Everybody needs to be on an even playing field. Mm-hmm. So if we keep segregating and keep not offering the same opportunities to men, and you and I, we do this brilliantly as far as I'm concerned.
I agree.
We are equals. We see each other as equals. We take the piss out of each other equally.
A lot.
It's just, it's what we do.
Yeah.
But we work because of our gender collaboration, because of the different views and the different insights we have from our side of the table. And for anything to work in life, you've got to kind of apply those principles of equality. You can't have equality by using segregation. Mm-hmm. So yes, keep doing the whole female empowerment thing, but also offer the same opportunities so that men are having a seat at the table.
It needs to be collaboratory.
It
Is
does.
that a word?
Collaborative.
Yeah, that's the one. That's why you're the English expert and I'm not.
And exactly. And I completely forgot what I was about to say.
Yeah.
I do this a lot, hey.
You do that.
My brain just
I do. I mean, I am a huge supporter of women's empowerment and I absolutely agree with you. If you look at the stats, it absolutely needs to happen and there's absolutely a place for it. But what we're seeing, and I know you agree with this, is in a lot of cases it's completely exclusionary of males. Which I think it needs to be a collaborative effort.
Allyship. You can't build an allyship without people understanding each other's point of views and being at the same table and being involved together. By consistently segregating one side of the conversation, or multiple sides of the conversation, you're actually not allowing things to move forward, and quite often creating further issues, further segregation, further problems. We were talking about this earlier and saying, when it comes to things such as men's clubs, there can be a lot of uproar about these things. However, there seem to be more and more women-only clubs popping up, and I personally don't see that as a solution. Yes, I can understand why the clubs exist, but surely it just needs to be everybody, all humans. It doesn't matter what sex you are. It doesn't matter what gender you identify with. It just needs to be all humans. It doesn't matter about skin color. It doesn't matter about ability. It doesn't matter about cultural background, any of that stuff. It just needs to be people in general.
Yep.
Why is there this whole thing about exclusion? You cannot understand somebody else's point of view and want to be of a benefit to everyone. Diversity is a great benefit to all people,
absolutely.
unless you actually allow that to happen. And if these exclusionary practices keep happening, how is it ever going to change?
And the reason why we do what we do, the reason why what we do is as good as it is and as successful as, well, I think it is, because, you know, we're kind of awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we're just up ourselves and think we're great.
Yeah, well, you know, there's probably that too, but
no, but in all seriousness,
we each have our own opinions. We each have our own experiences, and you know, we come together and bring all those experiences and life experiences and opinions and what together, and you know, we make it work. I mean, sometimes we don't necessarily agree with each other, but you know.
Generally we do, though.
You push me out of my chair and no, you don't. Really.
No, you generally let me fall out of my chair by not telling me there's an obstacle and then laugh.
And then I take a photo
and then put it on social media.
Put it on the Two Cripples page. Keep an eye for that.
But then we also take photos of each other sleeping and all kinds of weird shit.
Do.
But anyway, we are very much digressing.
We are digressing.
This is how the gender collaboration works with us too.
I got a great one. I could have got a great photo of you the other day. You fell backwards out of your chair. I put my hand down to grab the back of your chair, and I should have just
hilarious.
gone, hey, like this.
But in a selfie mode.
With selfie mode and grabbed the camera, but grabbed my phone, but I didn't think quickly enough.
No, you didn't. You suck. But that was okay. So I've got a brand new wheelchair, which is, you know, bloody fantastic, but it's a lot tippier than my old one, and it's taken a little bit of getting used to. It's much lighter weight and easier to use, which is fantastic. However, I turned round to look behind me and grab something from my bag behind my back, which I've always been able to do, no problems. But it seems when I do that in this chair, I tip over. So here's me with my legs up in the air and my back on the ground, and you're there in selfie mode, thinking about taking photos.
So basically, that chair's great as long as you don't move and don't breathe.
No, I'm actually getting used to it. It took me. I've had it about just over a week.
Yeah.
It's been. No, actually, no. It's a week. Week yesterday.
Really?
Yeah. Week
wow.
yesterday.
I thought it actually seemed longer than that.
No, it's a week yesterday. So I'm getting used to it now. I'm getting used to the tippiness. And do you know what's the best thing about it is? And this is something that makes me so freaking happy. I've never been able to do a wheelie because my chair was always balanced wrong for me. The chair I originally, my last chair I'd had for 5 years, and from when I was much more disabled than I am now, and I didn't have the wheelchair skills to be able to use it use a wheelchair in the way I do now. So and when I attempted to learn the skills now that I have the ability, the chair was just weighted all wrong, and there was nothing I could do about it. But anyway, having this new chair now, I did a wheelie yesterday and kept my wheels up for 2 whole minutes.
That's pretty awesome. Was that on the ramp outside of your place?
No.
You sure?
Yes, it was on. Okay. It was in the gym.
I believe you.
It was in my gym.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so
you just had like dumbbell either side of your wheel so you didn't move.
Fuck off. Oh, hang on.
Don't make me pull out a hurdle.
You hit the wrong one.
Fuck off, you Subway sandwich.
That's the one. Oh, good job.
I'll pull out a hurdle for you. I just said turtle.
Don't pull out a turtle.
Oh, God.
Oh,
okay.
I'm leaving that alone.
Yes, leave that alone.
I think all in all, I think they're just, it's just feels really, you know, that there are plenty of people out there, both male and female, who believe in collaboration between the sexes. And I think it makes it makes people feel when there's not that collaboration and there's not that opportunity for collaboration, it's a sad thing. It really is. Like,
and the problem is, the more segregation there is, the more one side becomes alienated from the other.
Exactly.
And the more that happens, the less likely you are to have the collaboration
Mm-hmm.
and equality in general, because there's always bad blood, there's always bad feelings.
Yeah.
So that the best way to build it, and you know, people may feel differently to us, and I am a woman that has encountered some really shitty experiences with men in my life.
Yeah.
And so I'm not coming from a man-hating perspective with any of this, but or even opposite, you know, one that's kind of speaking up for men when, you know, when there's men that have done bad things. I just think that both sides need to be equally represented and need to work together in a cohesive way, so that we both achieve the ultimate goal of everybody being equal.
It's like, you know, it's the same thing we talk about in accessibility. You know, everyone has a seat at the table, and everyone's voice and an opinion is valued.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, yes, but we had an interesting phone call today from a friend of ours who has also seen the same issue, and I've noticed recently another person who I'm going to be working with, who has also just released something which is dealing with the same kind of issues about collaboration. So it is starting to be noticed in the community, and that's especially in the business community, and that's great news. That's great news for everyone. It really is. Like we said, female empowerment is really important. Whilst there's still, you know, gender disparity and all that kind of stuff, it still needs to be something that's tackled.
Yeah.
But I truly think that the best way of tackling that is actually to give more collaboration, more work towards people doing things equally, rather than just keep segregating. Because allyship is the best way forward in any aspect.
I agree.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly.
100%.
Wholeheartedly.
All right, cool.
I don't know that we solved any issues there, but
No, but
it's an interesting.
we had a good conversation about it anyway.
I think so. Yeah. But absolutely, if you're listening or watching on the live, or when the live comes out on YouTube, love to get your thoughts. So drop us a message, DM us. Is it DM?
Yeah, DM's fine.
Okay, thank you. I always get in trouble because it's like, it's not DM, it's Messenger or whatever.
Yeah, anyway.
Whatever.
But
drop us a message. Whatever. I'd love to hear your thoughts, because it's an interesting topic, and you know, we share very similar opinions, but you know, obviously, yeah.
but obviously, yes, we're different genders, so it's sometimes interesting to see what little nuances the other side kind of sees, what the other one doesn't sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I've been in a few situations where we've been out at things and there's been separate female only, and this is not me taking the piss or having a go at anything, but there's been separate female only offshoots, groups and things like that. And I'm sit there and I look at it, I'm like, fuck, that is a group I would love, like that is a conversation I would love to be part of. I would love to be part of, or would love to be involved in. And
I know which events you're talking about.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is it's not even as if it's a female only event. It's an event that has equal numbers of men and women there.
Yeah.
So, and then to have female only aspects within the event, I'm sure as a man that makes you feel excluded.
And you know, the odd thing, it wasn't just me. Like,
there was a few.
There was a few people that were like, I had conversations with a couple of people, and I didn't make a big deal of it from my end. I'm like, you know what, cool. But there were a couple of other people there that, you know, guys that were, you know, expressing their opinion of it, and basically saying the same thing. You know, they would have really liked to have been part of that conversation and part of that process.
And the problem is that they're offering that, but they're not offering the same opportunities to men. So they're giving females a lot of support, but not actually. And where's the fairness in that?
In that, I'm going to say something really, really controversial here. So watch out. If there was a male only opportunity like that at that event, or event like it, how would that have been perceived?
I know, and I agree. Like I said, it's an event that's set up for all people that are in business.
Yep.
And to then just offer something that was purely male, there would be a lot of backlash of it. No,
100%.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. once again, equality is important, but you can't have equality unless you actually make efforts for everybody to be treated equally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Holy
All
crap, we just actually had a serious conversation about something.
Yeah, I know. We do it all right, you know.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. Yeah, I know. You're telling me to hurry up because
Yeah,
we've been.
hurry the fuck up.
What are we gonna?
You want it? So today
On the water cooler.
on the water cooler, Adam's actually interviewing me. So this is going to be payback for the episode where I interviewed you a couple of weeks back. So, oh shit, I'm shitting myself.
Oh, don't. I'm actually gonna be really nice.
Okay.
Yeah,
Aw,
it's all about.
you're never nice to me.
Yeah, well,
Oh,
there's
thank you.
cameras and audio and stuff. So I suppose it better.
so you better had.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
doesn't stop me from being not nice to you.
All right, so
Water cooler.
let's do it.
Do it. If you can find the button.
I found it.
The water cooler.
The water cooler. Hi.
Hi.
So, we're interviewing my good friend, business partner, all round pain in my ass. No, I'm joking.
General shit giver.
General shit giver. Natasha Price, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh, it's so good to have you here. I'm so excited. I know we've been talking about this for so long.
Yeah, I know. We have.
Yeah.
All right.
Are you scared?
Yep. Shitting myself.
Don't be.
I have, way too much about me and way too many secrets for me to be happy about this.
No, I promised you that I would mostly behave.
Mostly.
Mostly behave.
There's the disclaimer.
Mhm. So, you're a POM.
No shit.
Yeah.
You might not be able to tell from the accent.
When did you arrive in the merry old land of Oz?
Well, originally I arrived here in 2007,
Mhm.
September 2007, with my whole family. So there's my mum, my dad, my sister, and myself. I had intentions of staying here permanently.
Yes.
But at that point, the rest of my family had permanent residency. I didn't. I was just here on a temporary visa.
Yeah.
About 12 months into our stay here, my younger sister, who was 15, 16 at the time,
Yeah.
she was struggling with school.
Yeah.
Couldn't settle in. She's always been very, very academic, so it was a problem for her.
Yeah.
And wanted to go back to the UK to finish off her last year of school there, and then sort of come back to Australia afterwards for university. So I too thought that it wouldn't be a bad idea for me to go back to the UK, just for a year whilst I got my permanent visa sorted, and that was the plan for me to take her back. Things actually ended up turning out a little bit differently to what we expected, but that kind of goes into its own story a little bit.
So basically what you're telling me is that you going back and then having trouble coming back in was your sister's fault?
Oh yeah, I'll blame her for everything. It's your fault.
Hello, Danny.
If you're watching. I don't think she watches, but
No,
I'll
probably.
make her watch this one
She should.
just so she can hear
just
me
tell her
blame
she
her.
made some mention in this one. No, Danny's awesome. Danny and I get along really well because we just give you loads of shit.
Yes, this
That's
is
great.
true.
Yeah, and
This is true.
you're getting annoyed.
Our family, we are a family of shit givers. That's just what we do, and I think that's why you and I get on so well, and why you get on so well with my family, because
we get along
it's
well
just what
because we give
do.
each other shit, but then I get along really well with your family because then it's me and them against you.
Yes,
Which is just brilliant. So you've got a rare condition.
yes.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about?
Okay, so my condition is that it's something that is a little bit like multiple sclerosis in that it affects your spinal cord and optic nerve, but far more aggressive. So the reason I didn't come back from the UK immediately is because on Boxing Day 2008, I woke up blind in my right eye. Within a week, I was totally blind in both eyes. Couldn't see the difference between night and day, just complete darkness. Within a month of that, I was paralyzed from the waist down.
Yep.
And I had no idea I was ill. I had no idea that there was anything wrong with me. Literally went to bed normal, and normal. I don't think I've ever been normal. What is that anyway?
I can vouch for that.
And then woke up the next morning with all these issues. And this is whilst I was in the UK with my sister. And although we had extended family, it was difficult times. I lost my home because I'd been in hospital for so long and had no employment, and it was really, really tough.
So that was a big contributor in why it was hard for you to get back.
Yeah,
back here.
it was, because obviously once this happened, to get a permanent residency visa in Australia, you need to have guarantee of work. Obviously I couldn't work. You need to have medical tests, and obviously with all the medical issues plus being type 1 diabetic, there were lots of problems. I was just very, very lucky in that my parents were here. They were both permanent residents. My younger sister was also a permanent resident by then, so she finished up schooling and made the decision to come back to Australia. So that there's a thing where if your immediate family are all in this country, then you are entitled to residency yourself. But it has to be your immediate family. Because of my medical situation, they actually allowed me back into the country to get that support. At the time, we had no idea whether they were just going to give me a 12-month visa or residency or whatever, but we took the gamble. I fundraised, and because, like I said, I had no home, I had no work, I was in strife, really big trouble. But I was just very, very, very lucky that there were a lot of people out there willing to help me get back here. And when I got back here, I was lucky to receive support off the Australian community, off the hospital, off the doctors, who all wrote letters of support for me, and just some wonderful, wonderful, wonderful individuals that helped me get that permanent residency visa. And the whole process took so long. Usually it's a 4-year wait from when you become a permanent resident to when you can apply for citizenship. I actually got my citizenship 2 months after my permanent residency because the whole process took that long to take place.
Wow.
So I guess the biggest problem for me at the time was the medications and the hospital treatment, all the other things I had to do. Obviously, I wasn't entitled to government support, so it was costing an extraordinary amount of money for me to be here. But I wanted to be with my family, and I wanted to be in Australia. I always knew that I wanted to contribute back in some way. It was never about me coming here and just using the system, but I knew that life in the UK as a person with a disability and an illness like my life was nothing. I was literally in a tiny little room on my own every day in a house that wasn't suitable for me. That I didn't even have my own bathroom. I had to use, this is so, when I think about it now, it's just awful, but I had to use the commode in my bedroom to go to the toilet and to do everything. I didn't have access to a sink. I don't believe I actually washed my hair properly for a year.
Wow.
I was having to use a bed shampoo that it doesn't really clean your hair. Life was hell. Really, really, really difficult times.
Wow. And so at that time, was your sister still with you when that was all, or had she come back to?
She was with me for the majority. She came back to Australia maybe a couple of months before I did. I was lucky that I had paid carers and stuff to help me, but I was spending a lot of time on my own. I'd see my carers, first thing in the morning and then at 6 o'clock at night. I was pretty much bedbound, so I was completely bedbound at that point, so I was in bed on my own all day, and that was what my life was, watching TV, listening to TV because I couldn't even see anything. The overwhelming isolation that you can feel and loneliness when you're in that situation, when you really don't have access to anyone. And this is before mobile phones were as good as they are now. It was very different.
It's interesting because you and I have had the conversation a number of times about how good a health system they have it like the NHS in the
Mm-hmm.
UK is, and it by rights it's a pretty bloody good system
when it's working properly.
when
yeah.
it's working properly, and recently with COVID, with the last
Yes.
few years, COVID's really
Mess
but
that up.
but
yeah.
when you've got a pretty decent health system like the NHS, but then your outside supports are.
Yeah, and I mean I've spoken about this in a post recently with my new wheelchair. Prior to coming to Australia and before getting my citizenship, I didn't have my own chair. I
Yeah.
had to rely on one that I bought for £100 off the internet, and as comparison, this one is a $15,000 wheelchair, so you can understand the kind that people can understand the kind of chairs that we require when you're paralysed.
Yeah.
It's very, very different to your fold-up hospital, chair.
It's kind of like comparing wooden clogs to, I guess, if you're looking for a comparison, it's kind of like comparing, I guess you'd say, clogs to, to Nike Airs or something like that. If you,
the best top of the range runners that you can find.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's it was very interesting, and that's because the system in the UK is very, very different to here. We as much as we've complained about the NDIS, it is a fantastic system.
Absolutely.
when you're getting the equipment that you need.
Yep.
And there's nowhere else in the world where you can get the supports and help like that.
I
So
agree.
we're very, 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 very lucky here in this country.
I agree. I mean, I don't know, you and I know the issues I've had with the NDIS of recent times, but
Yes.
it's never been about the NDIS being a shit system, because
Exactly.
if you were around previous to the NDIS and know maths and the way that worked in Queensland, at least, it was a far better.
Yes.
It's a far better system than
Yeah,
we've ever had
exactly.
before.
Exactly.
Yeah, but so these days, fast forward how many years?
What will be 15 years?
Yeah. So you're active and healthy, and you
Healthy. I don't know about healthy.
yeah.
Active, yes. I just ignore my health.
So you often talk about using health and fitness as, I guess, for lack of a better term, medication in a way.
Yeah.
For a lot of for pain relief and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Talk through how that works for you.
Well, I guess so. For me, I was on a list of medication, literally the size of an A4 sheet of paper.
I've seen it. It was at least one
Yeah,
A4
so
sheet of paper.
and the really heavy duty meds, morphine, fentanyl patches, the kind of drugs that on a daily basis would put a freaking horse to sleep. I mean, it was ridiculous. Hundreds and hundreds of grams of high dose medication every day. I'm surprised I'm still here to tell the tale, to be honest. And then I was falling asleep all over the place because I just couldn't stay awake after taking it all. And I've also got a paralysed stomach, and I'm type 1 diabetic, and there's lots of issues with nerve pain and spasms and all these kind of things that you have when you have a neurological condition. And it was, I guess, really tough living like that. My whole life seemed to be taken up just by taking meds. I mean, I'd have to do the process 3 times a day. Each one would take an hour and a half. That's the ridiculous amount of meds that I was on. Then I found exercise, and getting from that point of having so much medication running through my body to literally nothing. Like the only thing I take now is insulin and the occasional very low dose painkiller, just as a backup when things get a bit overwhelming. It's ridiculous. And I think for me, I have to push through pain every day.
Yeah.
The start of exercise can be hard work. The first 20 minutes or so, I really, really feel it. But after that, once the endorphins have kicked in, especially with cardio, I just find that is a much better pain reliever than anything I've ever attempted to use in the past. But that also in combination with something called the Molly suit, the Molly Exopulse suit. It's like a natural suit that has like 52 electrodes all over the body. Works a bit like a TENS machine for those of you that know what that is. And it stimulates the muscles and the body and the nervous system in different ways. And that in itself has just had the most incredible effect on my body. My spasms have calmed down. The pain is negligible, or at least a much lower level, so that I can cope with it unmedicated for the most part. I still have issues. My health problems are all still there. As you know, I'm having to see so many different bloody specialists about different things at the moment. It's ridiculous, but I'm in control. Yeah. I'm not letting it control me anymore. I'm controlling it. Yeah.
And as somebody who's spent a fair whack of time with you over the last 4 or 5 years, I can absolutely vouch that the molly suit in particular is because people look at technology like that, and people can be kind of a little bit cynical. Yeah, that was the word I was. Yeah,
I mean, you know how cynical I was at the start, especially exercise. Oh, come on, that's bullshit. No, just wearing a suit now, bugger off. That's just crap. But no, this stuff really works, and a lot of it comes down to having the right mindset as well. And I know it sounds airy-fairy and whatever, but it's true. When your issues are always going to be there, always. That they're never going to go away. However, if you can have the right tools and the right strength of mind to deal with these things, you can actually turn these negatives into a positive, and it can propel you forwards. And, just find a way of dealing with the mental things, because that's going to make the biggest difference in your life. And that's what both of us live by.
Yeah, absolutely it is. Absolutely it is. I mean, and not being on that boatload of opioids and,
well, let's just say I wouldn't be able to be an athlete these days if I was on that, because it's all banned. They're all banned substances, so I just wouldn't be able to. I know you can get special dispensation for it, but it wouldn't happen. I wouldn't. Could you imagine me trying to get off the start line 100 meters with that level of opioids in my body?
I do the 100 meters in 5 minutes 58 seconds.
I know, I can imagine. Jesus Christ.
And that's not knocking anybody who does the 100 meters in 5 minutes and 58 seconds.
But for me, that would be terrible.
It would be. So, talking about your sporting endeavours, and so you're a wheelchair racer now.
Yes, I am.
Your coach, can I just say, is a fucking awesome guy.
Oh, I don't know. I think he's a bit of a twat, really.
Rightio, moving on. So, how you're a sporting before you got into sport, prior to your spacadum.
Spacadum, yes. My crippledom.
Your crippledom, yeah. Mm-hmm. What did you do sporting wise?
Okay, so I was.
I mean, we know you were a dancer. I mean, stripper. I mean, dancer.
Fuck you. I was a pro dancer, but I got into sport at a very young age. So my dad was a professional football player in the UK.
Yes, we'll get into that.
Yeah, and he got me into sport from a very young age. I come from a sporting family; it's just in my blood. And I was a junior sprinter. 100. I could never imagine myself doing any more than 100s when I was.
And now you do marathons.
And now I do marathons, which is just crazy. But there you go. I guess I wasn't so into the challenge when I was a kid. So I was a sprinter. I was also a high jumper. I'd be shit at that nowadays.
Yes, you would. We know for a fact that you suck at hurdles.
Yes, I do. I suck at hurdles. I suck at high jump, long jump, anything that involves jumping, really.
Pretty much. You probably do better than me, though.
True that.
I have no knees.
Yeah, true that. Makes you less springy.
True that.
Well, and then when I was a teenager, I kind of lost interest in athletics, and became a dancer.
Stripper. I mean, sorry.
Yeah. I was a nightclub dancer.
Stripper.
Yeah. Hey, I did some cool shit. I got to travel lots of places, dancing my ass off and wearing very skimpy outfits, but let's not go into that.
Like I told you, stripper.
Danced on a few bars and a few cages.
I am a dancer.
I was not a stripper. I did wear very, very, very little clothing, but that's not the point. People wear less than what I wore to the beach nowadays.
True that. And we actually had that conversation in a recent podcast, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah. Where's the coolest place that you worked as a dancer?
Ibiza.
That's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, I did a couple of stints there, but I also did some work in London. We did a road show where we went around to a few different clubs around the country, which was just incredible. I was very, very, very lucky. Actually, one of the local nightclubs in the tiny little town that I come from, it's called the Crystal Rooms, and it was actually one of the biggest, most popular clubs in the entire UK. Which you can imagine in the UK, that's a big deal.
Yeah,
It's a big country with a big nightclub culture, and I used to work there every week, and we filmed. This is back in the late 90s. We filmed a kind of like an Ibiza Uncovered type documentary series where they'd film the dancers and the DJs, and it's like an MTV behind the scenes type thing.
Oh, that's cool.
My God, it was so much fun.
So
much fun. So I've been doing this whole TV thing for a very, very long, TV media thing for a very, very long time.
Is it weird or in any way or I don't know another word for it, but odd in any way for you to now look back on those days as an able-bodied person dancing and stuff? Is that kind of a weird thing for you to look back on?
No, not at all. Like, I miss those days a lot. I do miss being able to.
You can still boogie. I've seen you.
Oh yeah, I can. I can get up there with the best of them. I make the wheelchair work for me. I don't know that I could still cage dance in this thing. I don't think it'd have the same effect.
I'm sure there's a will.
I'm sure I'd figure it out.
There's a will. There's a way.
I used to literally hang off the top of bloody cages and.
I've seen you do that on gym equipment. I'm sure
this is true.
You'd pull that
That's
off.
Exactly. If I can do it on gym equipment, I'm sure I could.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's I love looking back on those days, and I'm still such like music is in my heart, and and it's like you. Whenever you hear music, you sing. Whenever I hear music, I also sing, but I dance. Like I just can't stop myself from moving. It's just it's ingrained in me.
What kind of messed up world would we be without music?
Oh, I know, right?
Like, yeah, I mean,
it's food for the soul.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, I'll use that. So you're related to, dare I say it, sporting royalty in a way, kind of.
Yeah.
Don't tell him I said that.
Hiya, Dad.
He's your dad, Chris Price.
Yeah.
Has he made his mark well and truly in the soccer, aka / football.
Yeah,
world.
football.
Yeah,
You use your feet, it's football.
Whatever. We call it soccer. We live in Australia. We have this argument all the time.
I don't know. There's plenty of Aussies now that are coming out and saying, no, it's football.
What's it like being the daughter, being in sport and doing what you're doing and kicking ass at it? But what's that like for you, your dad being who your dad is?
There's a lot of pressure and a lot of expectation.
Yeah.
Like, Dad was, English Premier League top of the game. He played for England under 21s.
Good bloke to boot too. Hello, Chris.
and it's he's very, very well known in the UK. So there's always this expectation that sport's in my blood and it's just been passed down, so I should just be able to automatically do things. Yeah. And I have to work bloody hard. Like there's and I do, and I feel a huge amount of pressure to do well. Like that I'm very, very goal driven and very, very motivated and determined, and I think that's those are traits that have come from my dad and from his sporting background. Yeah. It's just what I saw growing up and the environment I was in, but it can make the pressure a little bit greater. And I don't want to, I guess, let the family name down, if you can put it in that way. You know, there's always, you're Chris Price's daughter, you'll be fine. It's like, oh well, I don't know that I will be. I'm doing my best, but who knows? You can't always say just because someone comes from a sporting family or from a family of whatever profession that they're going to be just as as gifted or just as able as somebody else.
I mean this in the nicest way possible, but you would be shit at football.
I would be terrible at football, hey?
If it makes you feel better, so would I.
I was going to say, you'll be even worse. You don't have any feet. So.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the amount of times when he was much younger and didn't quite understand, my son would take me out and he's like, "Dad, kick the ball."
Yeah, I know. He said it to me. It's like Evelyn, my niece the other day. What was it? Oh yeah, she was trying to get me to walk through the swimming pool with her, and I'm like, "Oh, kid, I can't. I'm so sorry." She's like pulling my hands, so I can't even use my hands to move myself because she's got hold of it. It's so freaking cute.
You fall in your I think with Fletch now that one, he's a little bit older, but now that I've actually got no legs, he's a little bit more understanding the fact that there's going to be no kicking.
He totally gets it. Like he will just take the piss out of both of us because he gets it that much.
Yes, exactly. What does he call them? My tiny legs or mini legs?
I can't remember. Yeah, it's funny anyway.
All right, 2 more questions.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask one that we ask all our guests, and you're part of the furniture, so you're not really a guest, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Yeah.
What does inclusion mean to you?
Well, exactly what we were speaking about at the beginning of the podcast.
Yep.
That everybody has a seat at the table, that everybody's opinions are taken into consideration, that all voices are heard, and that people have equal access and equal opportunities. And I think it needs to go further than equality. It needs to be equity, so that, there's a wonderful meme that you and I use in some of our programs where it shows equality being people being given the same tools, but the outcomes aren't necessarily the same. Then it shows equity, people being given different tools so that the outcomes
are the same. Everyone.
And that's exactly what there needs to be. Equality doesn't go far enough. It needs to be equity. But then there's also another step further than that, which I love, which is liberation, which means the barriers don't exist for people in the first place. And that's the the unicorn. That's what we all want out of life. That level of inclusion, that level of accessibility, that level of acceptance, so that things such as disabled people's achievements don't need to be celebrated separately from everybody else's because we're just included as part of the community. And it's exactly the same with the whole the women's rights movement as well. Once it's accepted as normal, you don't have to keep doing all this extra work. It's just part of everyday life.
It's just something that doesn't have to be thought about specifically because it just is.
Because it just is exactly, and that's what inclusion is. It's looking at that and saying, this is what we want. This is the the golden egg, and so on and so forth.
Golden egg.
Yeah, golden egg.
Golden egg.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, that's okay. I get where you're coming from. All right, last question, and I'm going to ask my absolute favorite question because this is the one I ask everyone, and I like it a lot. What advice would you give 10-year-old Natasha Price?
Don't do it. No.
Don't fucking do it.
I was a rat bag as a teenager. I probably should have given myself that advice.
I'd say I didn't believe it unless hadn't heard some of the stories.
I'd probably say stop worrying about other people's opinions of you. I had a lot of issues with eating disorders as a teenager and 20-something. I also stopped taking my insulin for years because I was worried about my weight. And whilst those experiences have built me into the woman I am today, and I'm quite proud of who I am.
Should be.
I also think that there's a lot of heartache and a lot of issues that I had as a result of it that I wouldn't. I almost died because a number of times because of what I did to myself. So and it was purely because I was so it was a method of control. I felt like my life was out of control, but also it was because I was so concerned about what other people thought, and it's a ridiculous reason to let yourself die over because you were so worried about that.
Damn straight.
Yeah.
And that whole, not having your insulin when you needed to and stuff like that. Like, I'm privy to, I'm privileged to know quite a few type 1 diabetics
Yeah.
and people in that community. And it's way more common amongst young, not necessarily female always, but
Yeah.
predominantly female type 1
Well,
diabetics.
there is the illness itself has got a name. Like because lack of insulin in a type 1 diabetic, it causes your body to start to break down your muscle and use it for energy.
Yeah.
And it's something called diabetic ketoacidosis. But there's an actual name for it. It's an illness called diabulimia.
Okay.
And it's basically your body eating itself. You're not really losing weight. Your body is just eating away at its muscles. So you get very, very sick as a product of that, because very, very quickly all of your muscles and your blood becomes toxic.
Yeah.
And that's what kills you. It's extremely dangerous, and I was very, very, very lucky to live through it. Very, very lucky.
I've had not in a similar way, but I've had acidosis myself, and it's not something it is. It's hell. It's not something that you want to have anyone go through.
Nope.
No, absolutely not. Natasha Price, thanks very much for joining us.
That's okay. I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
This has been cool. It's been good, and hopefully the people that watch and listen have learnt a few new things about you.
And if anyone else has any cool questions, please feel free to drop us a line, drop us a question, drop us a comment, whatever. We're both always happy to answer any questions.
Absolutely. Is there anything that I've missed? Anything else that you wanted? The mic is yours.
You know that there are a million things we could talk about with me, living all around the world and
I know.
freaking it. Like,
I was trying to get to all that, but we're just kind of
my story is long and complex. But this is why I'm looking into writing a book, because there is just I could write like a freaking host of movies with sequels and God knows what else with all the things that have happened in my life.
Maybe we need a part 2.
Yeah, I think we should probably do that sometime.
We should. All right, part 2.
All right,
coming your way soon. Stop doing that,
you parrot. Oh, jinx. Haha, you can't say any. Oh, actually, no, that's no good in a podcast,
that
is it?
Would be really shit.
But you just spoke, and now you're going to be jinxed.
Well, we're doing a podcast. There's absolutely fuck all I can do about that.
Okay, cool.
All right, cool.
All right.
On to the next thing.
What's next?
Let's do...
let's do the kindness virus.
You want to do the kindness
yeah,
virus?
Why not?
All right, kindness virus.
The kindness virus. You sound like you had bad wind then.
Oh, no.
I've had far too much to drink. Hang on.
Oh, no.
All right, I'm going to tell everyone a bit of a story for this week's kindness virus.
Oh,
That's generally what we do anyway. But this is
a true one.
This is very true, and it happened last week. Last week before.
Yeah, last
week I think. And it made the cockles of my heart warm and fuzzy. And you're all right there?
Yeah, I'm getting a sore back, so I'm just trying
it's probably because you sat on your chair all skewiff and weird.
That's better.
No shit. Okay, so
That's better.
you and I, we've pulled up to the car park just outside where we go to the gym in Coomera.
Mm-hmm.
And you were getting stuff out I'd just got in my chair and you were getting stuff out the boot. No, you were sat in the front of the car getting something out the front, and I was grabbing stuff out of the boot. And just as I've opened the boot up, this lady in a dress has come up to me and just kind of started speaking to me. I just thought, oh yeah, she's a nice woman. And then halfway through the conversation, she's just reached out and handed me this little card. Little wallet-sized card, and I've looked at it. I'm like, okay, cool, it's gold. What is it? And she's gone, well, I just wanted to do something really kind for someone. This is for you. You guys are awesome. Love what you're doing, and this is a gift from me to you. And it was a $250 Visa gift card.
Wow.
I know, right?
That's pretty cool. I say wow, like I didn't know it was happening, but I did. I was there, but that's freaking cool.
It was extremely generous. She said she has had somebody do something very kind for her, and she wanted to pay it forward.
Yeah.
And she'd been looking for the right people to do this with, and wanted to give us the gift card.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, God, there's some really nice people. And you know what? The thing that was greatest about it for us that it happened on that day, because that day my athletics fees were due and I didn't have the money for it. I knew I was racing last weekend. I knew I had to pay $300 in fees, and I was like, I have no idea how I'm finding this money. You know, wheelchair racing is an expensive career choice, that's for sure, and especially when you don't have sponsorship. And just for her to hand that to us, it allowed us to be able to pay the athletics fees. And you know, I've got another year now of competitions, or track competitions covered. So thank fuck for that. But isn't there just some lovely, 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 lovely people in the world?
There is. Every now and then, you come across someone or a situation that just. I have faith in humanity, I do, but, you know, every now and then you come across something or someone and go, yep, the world is still a good place.
Yeah, and I think it's more than every now and again. I think that, especially in Australia, Australians are very, very generous and kind, and I often find that they're generous with, you know, giving and especially with time and money.
Yeah.
But I think it's often because we're always looking at so much shit in the news and on social media and all that kind of stuff, and you generally get the dregs of society posting shit all over
100%
socials. And you know, it's so true how most of the news and the airspace is given to the negative stuff rather than the positive.
Yeah.
But it makes you forget how much positivity there really is in the world and how many good people there are out there. Which is I just think it's the majority that are a bit shit. And the minority that are a bit shit.
Yeah.
And it's the majority that are much more silent. That
I
are
agree.
actually incredible. There are lots of incredible, amazing humans out there, and that's exactly why we do this segment.
Exactly, yeah.
To bring light to them.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at, you know, there's one thing, I love being an Aussie. I really do. It's, you know, I'm such a proud Aussie, and one of the things I love about being an Aussie is, you know, Australia is a country of wildly diverse weather. You know, we have fires, we have floods, we have drought, you know, and Aussies like, fuck it, let's put on a concert.
You do know that you've said this in a previous podcast, right?
Yeah, I know, but I'm going to say it again.
But it's true.
But, you know, we do that, and
Yes,
then the money,
true.
and then, you know, Aussies and, you know, the people that live in this awesome country, you know, reach into their wallets and give what they can.
Yeah,
exactly
right. Exactly right.
Yeah.
Very, very blessed to live here.
I know I said it before, but it's just.
I know, I'm only playing. You know I like to give you a hard time.
Oh, Jesus.
It's the simple pleasures, Adam, that make me happy.
Yes. Captive audience.
Yeah, exactly. I know. There's fuck all you can do about it.
Pretty much. But yeah, no, that was bloody cool. It was really cool, and yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sure she's not watching. I wish I knew her. I wish I'd asked her name. But if you are out there and you do happen to hear this message, thank you. It was very kind, and it was very, very much appreciated. And don't worry, we are doing our fair share to pay it forward as well.
Between now and next podcast, we're gonna think of some way of paying it forward.
Okay. Well, I mean, we've done lots and lots of work with paying it forward recently.
We have,
given our time to talk
with
charities and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, let's think of a specific thing that we can do for this one, because I think it'd be a nice thing to do.
It might not be $250 worth, but
well, no, because I'm flat broke. So you're lucky if I've got 25 cents. But
close to it, but we'll figure something out. So watch this space. Next up, if you've got some ideas,
yes,
I feel like I've said that before too,
but yeah, if you have, tell us, please.
Yeah, drop it in a comment. Let us know if you've got any ideas. That would be super cool. Right, shall we move on?
Sure. Why not? Where are we going to?
Social media takedown.
Okie dokie.
Yeah, cool.
Are you going to press the button?
Oh, I'll press the button.
Social media takedown.
You're right there.
That's why you're the dancer and I'm not.
You're so stiff when you do that. I'm like, you're going to
I was headbanging. What the fuck do you want from me?
Some fluidity.
Freaking electric boogaloo or something.
Of the electric
I don't
boogaloo.
know. I don't know what the fuck it is.
Do you know what you look like doing that? So he's waving his arms all around all over the place. You look like one of those.
Beached whale. No.
No. No, that's just normal. No, I'm joking.
Oh, wow.
You opened yourself up for that one.
Jesus.
I'm joking.
Didn't think you'd take it that far. My God.
You look like, outside the front of car sales garages when they have those wavy, luminous, bloody wind blown people-y things. You look like one of those.
Have you seen that thing
What are
on?
they called?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, those
Things.
Have you seen there's a funny joke or a meme thing on Facebook about that. It's like one of those things says to another one, he's like, "Dad, I want to be a lawyer when I grow up," and he's like, "You're gonna stand out front of a car sales place, car whatever, butt naked and dance, and that's the last I'm gonna hear about it."
Yes, exactly. Talking about memes, we're gonna actually talk about a meme that is really doing the rounds on social media at the moment, aren't we?
Yes, it is.
So, okay, do you want me to do the description or are you?
Well, I'll try and I'll probably cock it up. So
Probably. So you try and then I'll correct you.
And then you can correct me. So, okay, here we go. Oh, God, the pressure is real. So it's a guy in a wheelchair, person in a wheelchair in the back of a car.
In the back of like a luxury, gorgeous car.
Yeah, like a limo type thing.
This is a cartoon drawing, by the way.
It's a cartoon drawing, yes. You know what we'll do? We'll post it on the page.
Yeah.
On Insta and Facey, and he's in the boy in the wheelchair's in the car, or person in the wheelchair's in the car, and outside of the car there's somebody, I think there's riding a bike, throwing a ball or something like
Riding
that.
a bike.
Riding a bike.
Yeah.
Is it just riding a bike?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it basically alludes to, oh, I wish I could do that.
Yeah, so above the boy in the wheelchair in the
Yep.
back of the car, there is like a speech bubble or a dream bubble, if you like, and it shows the person in the wheelchair gazing over at the person on the bike with the picture of it in his head of him riding the bike, and then it shows the person that's on the bike with the same bubble above their head looking at the car and wishing that they were being driven around in a luxury car.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, I think what the artist was trying to achieve is by kind of saying, "Oh, the grass is always greener on the other side," kind of thing.
Yeah.
But to me, and I'm pretty sure you had the same kind of guttural reaction.
Yes.
Is fuck me, it's ableist.
There's a whole lot of ableism going on there.
Like, it's that assumption that just because you're in a wheelchair that you're looking out longingly over somebody riding a bike thinking, oh my God, my life is so terrible because I can't do that. Well, and for a start, which is absolute bullshit, because you can ride a bike if you're in a wheelchair. You can use a hand bike.
Yeah, hand cycle.
Hand
exactly.
cycle, yeah.
And I was going to say whether it was intentional or not. Of course it was intentional, because it's freaking blindingly obvious that that's what they're
alluding to.
What they're getting at. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's also that automatic assumption that wheelchair users are looking for, that they feel shit about their situation, and that they're looking to be out walking, out doing other activities and all that kind of stuff, which it just what was I saying?
Oh, sorry.
Thanks.
Oh,
You do that a lot.
I ruined it for you.
You did.
There's also a lot of
able-bodied people that are just unhappy with their fill in life and always looking for something else. But I just don't know why there has to be this assumption that just because you're in a wheelchair, you're not happy and don't find joy in life and looking at other people wishing that you could have that. Because I don't know about you, but I don't ever sit there wishing I could walk.
No.
It doesn't bother me. Like, there are times when I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, I wish I could reach something, or I wish I could get under there or something. But that's problem with accessibility in society. That's not a problem with me. That's just the fact that, or us, that's just the fact that society isn't yet set up in a way that allows us access to everything. But to be fair, I am that much of a short ass that there are plenty of occasions when I was standing that I couldn't reach shit anyway. So I just... It's just one of those things. I don't know. It's that cartoon, that meme. It was written with a lot of unconscious bias surrounding it.
Yeah.
People making assumptions, people not even realizing that the way that they've done that art is in any way bias or in any way prejudice or in any way assumptive or do you know what I mean?
It was either done by somebody who has possibly never met anybody,
Oh, you can almost guarantee it.
or by one of these people that, you know, thinks, who maybe does know people with disabilities or whatever, but just thinks it's such a shame. And
and it's the same as when you get people that don't want to talk to you about disability or don't want to talk to you about anything, and it's that automatic assumption that you might upset them because you're talking to them about the tragedy in their lives, and it's like, fuck off. Sorry.
No, absolutely.
But yeah, it's disability isn't a tragedy.
It's not.
People aren't. I mean, yes, there can be tragic circumstances surrounding the reason why people have a disability, but that doesn't make their lives tragic as a result.
Yeah.
There are plenty. You just have to adapt. But anyway, that's a completely different conversation altogether.
Yeah.
But yes, the ableism that surrounds that whole meme.
Yeah.
And when we post it, I'd really like to know what the able-bodied people who watch this thing.
What's your take on it?
Do you have that same guttural feeling that we have, or are you just not seeing what we see?
It would be interesting to see the opinions of the people that know us and know us pretty well, and then maybe the people watching and listening that don't necessarily know us. And I'm interested to know, because I know it was one of those things that I saw and went, oh God, that fucks me off. Yes.
and you said exactly the same as me, didn't you? You were like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It regardless of whether it's meant in that way or not is not the point here. It's the fact that there's still that little bit of unconscious stuff going back on in the back of somebody's mind to make them even draw something like that in the first place.
100%.
And it's the fact that those things exist without people even realizing half the time. But
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
But anyway,
cool.
So yes, we'll post that so you can all see it.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to get people's thoughts, and we do really, whatever don't be afraid to share your opinion and let us know what you think. You know, we're all friends here, and I'm genuinely interested to know what people think about this one.
I think we both are, you know, and we're always open to other people's opinions. So, and we like to share ours, and so other people should share theirs too.
Yeah. Shall we?
Going from people that have.
We're going to finish off on a controversial.
We're going to go to the moron of the day.
We were as if we haven't been enough controversial.
It's been quite a controversial episode.
Yeah, it has been.
That's
That's how we roll.
It's been an opinionated episode, but hey, what's new?
It's the moron of the day.
Wow.
Is that all you're going to say?
We can't sing for shit.
You can. You've got a fucking amazing voice. Thanks. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's the moron of the day.
Not when you do that. No. Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, so this one's going to probably get a little bit controversial.
Well, I don't know about controversial, but it's a touchy subject.
It is a touchy subject because everyone has their own views on this. And yes, I'm pulling my pants up because, let's face it, nobody wants to see my ass.
And I'm the one sat behind you, and it would be me that has to see it. And
exactly.
I'm good, thanks.
Yeah. And, oh, man, my back's just sitting in this chair. I need a new chair.
Oh,
Get out so I can use yours.
Yeah, fuck off.
I'll flip you out. Yoink. So we're gonna chat about religion.
Oh God, this is going down the rabbit hole.
What's that? Was it religion or
politics?
Never
religion,
talk about religion or politics. Yeah. Well,
I think it's never work with. Never work with priests. Certainly not if you're a child, anyway. No, I see. I am.
Wow.
No. I'm all about religious freedoms. I'm not religious myself. However, I do believe that anybody is willing to practice whatever religion they so choose. I just don't want it pushed on me.
Yeah, and I think we need to preface this conversation with the fact that neither you or I are religious.
No.
In any way,
in any way,
shape or form. But I certainly, I have no disrespect for people
No, me neither.
who are religious, and I think if that's what people want to do, and
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
more power to you. And to be honest, I mean, there's been some religions that we've come across. I'm thinking of, you know, a temple we were in Japan.
Oh, I know, right? That was incredible.
And I was like, you know what? It was Buddhism, yeah. And I was like, you know what? If I was to ever be a spiritual or religious person, I
that
reckon
would be what you would follow.
Buddhism's where it's at for me, I reckon.
Know.
You know?
It is beautiful. See, I'm more concerned about somebody's kindness and their values. I don't really care about their religion. That's entirely up to them, and everybody should have the power to choose to worship in any way they wish, or you know, so long as they're being nice to people, I don't care.
The crux of this conversation stands around the fact that believe what you want to believe.
The crux or the crux?
Whatever. Fuck off. Leave me alone.
As we're talking about religion, you're telling me to fuck off. I love it.
Yep, and that's why this has an explicit rating.
Go on. Sorry, I interrupted. Go on, carry on.
Crux of this conversation is basically around believe whatever you want to believe. You know, believe in the toaster if that's as being your God, if that's what you want to do. We don't care. Like, you know, don't push it on people. If we get as we're fortunate, you know, that we get around quite a lot, and you know, we do our thing and get around.
That sounds terrible. What are you getting around doing?
We're out in the community. We're out in the community a lot.
You're going to tell me you've like fathered 50 children or something?
I get around. It's a Beach Boys song. I wonder if that's what they were talking about.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe not. We're out in the community a lot, and we do get approached a lot by religious groups and people, and I 100% get that in their mind that they think by approaching us and asking us we get asked if they can pray for us, or if we would like to pray with them then and there, or, you know, things like that.
Okay, but I want to say here that most of the time when they're asking to pray for us, they're asking if they can pray for us to walk again, or not use the wheelchair again, and that's where I get pissed off.
Yep.
Okay, let me tell you a little story.
Oh, can you?
I was in a shopping centre, in a shopping mall somewhere. I think it was up in Brisbane. And I'm walking through this. Not walking anywhere.
You weren't walking anywhere. Well, you might have once upon a time.
No, I was pushing through the centre in my wheelchair. And this woman that I've never seen before in my life, just walking through the centre, suddenly stopped, gasped, and come up to me, put her hand on my head and gone, "Can I pray for you? I want to be able to pray for you to be okay and for you to be able to walk again." And I mean, now this was when I was, you know, very first in a wheelchair, when things were very different to what they are now. Well, I didn't have the confidence and everything that I do. So I just sat there and went, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what else to do. 10 minutes later, she's gone, "You're going to be okay," and just walked off.
Wow.
And she's crying. She's fucking crying. And I'm just sat there dumbfounded. Now, the problem is, I'm not religious, so it made me incredibly uncomfortable to start with. You know, there's been times in life where I thought, I wish I could be religious. I wish I did believe in that stuff, because I think for religious people, often that belief can help them get through trying times.
I absolutely believe that.
And, you know, so through some really, really difficult times in their lives. But, you know, for me, it's just not something I believe in. But yeah, I mean, apart from it making me really, really uncomfortable, it's that, once again, that ableist view that just because you're in a wheelchair, that you want saving, that you want healing, that you're not just okay with your situation. I mean, as someone who's a wheelchair racer, as somebody who's had incredible opportunities in their life as a result of their disability, I'm not really entirely sure I'd want to go back to all the issues I had as an able-bodied person. I had a lot of health issues when I was able-bodied because of problems with my legs. Yeah. And I say able-bodied, I've always had some degree of disability with my chronic illnesses, and it affected my legs a lot with rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, and a few other things. So I'm not sure I'd want to go back to that. But my point is, stop making assumptions that we need saving in some way. I tell you what, the other one is is the whole, oh, you must have sinned.
Yeah.
That happens a lot. Hey, oh, what sin did you commit to put you in a wheelchair? No sin. I actually think my life's fucking amazing. But if I did sin, I would have made it a good one.
Well, the fact of the matter is and I'm not a religious person, but my understanding is that the Christianity and a lot of religions believe that everyone sins. So
exactly,
it's like
it's such a weird interpretation of and that's the problem. So often the Bible is, and I have a bit of understanding of religion. I was brought up in Church of England, and I went to church as a child and as a teenager, and I did believe in it back then. But I also studied theology to a certain level. But I find it fascinating.
Yeah.
I find religion fascinating as much as I don't believe. I have a lot of respect for the theology behind it.
Yeah.
But I just don't. There's so many. It can be interpreted in so many different ways, and that's every different denomination is an interpretation of the Bible in a different way. So and there lies the issue, is that it can be interpreted to mean whatever the fuck you want it to mean.
Pretty much.
And it's also why there's so much division and so many issues in the world, because of these different interpretations.
Well, how many of the wars that have been fought for hundreds and hundreds of years are purely happening because of religion?
Yeah. But anyway, that there's obviously those different interpretations based on what they believe sin could cause. Like, the devil has struck you down with this illness, and it's fuck me. Like, I'm a good person. I do good things in the world.
100%.
We both do. We are the way we are because of piss poor. Well, no, I wouldn't even say piss poor luck, because it's just our lives are good. But just because because science and the way that the human body works has made us into the people we are, and it's not a bad thing.
No,
and it's not some kind of curse from God or from the fucking tooth fairy or anything. In fact, it just is.
Yep.
And having people come up to us saying shit like that, it just winds me up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I try to be kind and polite, but sometimes you just want to say, will you please just fuck off?
Yeah.
And because it happens a lot, hey?
Yeah.
And I do get angry with the ones that say, oh, it's a sin, it's because you sin.
Yeah.
It's, you've been struck down from God and all that. That just makes me fucking angry.
I actually had a few years ago, I had a mate of mine who was in the paper, or one of the news channels for some cool stuff that he was doing. Guy with a disability, obviously, a wheelchair user. And I was reading it and I was like, this is really cool. Then I was checking out all the comments, and somebody had commented and said something along the lines of,
it was God's will or something.
It was,
like that.
God, the reason, you must have sinned, or what was your sins in a previous life to end up in a wheelchair or something like that. So I actually contacted the newspaper or the media outlet. I can't remember what it exactly was, but I actually contacted them like, I know this guy and this is really, really inappropriate. Can you please take this comment down?
Yeah.
And, whatever, as far as the person who wrote it, do whatever the hell you want, but this needs to be taken down.
Yeah.
And they did. They replied
good.
and they actually took the comment down, which was really, really good. But long and the short of it, believe what you want to believe.
Yes. And worship and whatever, and whatever way you choose, that's fine.
Absolutely.
And it's not even so much don't push it on us, but certainly it's just respect other people's beliefs, and that they're not necessarily comfortable with the same things.
Respect other people's ability to not have the same beliefs as you, and not
and just have forethought. And stop assuming things about wheelchair users as well, and stop with the stupid bullshit that it's something to do with being struck down by God. That's just I don't even know what religious denomination believes that anymore. This day and age, it has to be the very extreme, very extreme religions that believe that. But fuck me. It just, I can't, like, all I can say is fuck me, because it just, well, I should probably not say that into religious people, but there you go. But yeah, it's just, it's disappointing that this day and age that there's still even, a small percentage of people that feel that.
Yeah.
It's a shame, because it means they're not seeing the value in people with disabilities, and that's just, that's just shocking to me.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Good job.
Good job. I think, I think we solved that one.
Yeah, well, I don't know that we solved it, but we put people in their place.
Yes.
No, I'm joking.
Yeah. All in all, I think, you and I, interesting as a side note, Fletch, Fletch started, my son Fletcher started year 1 this year, and we had the option, and we were like, do you want him to, as part of his class, do religious education? It's like once a week for half an hour or whatever. And it was really hard, because me, as somebody who's not a religious person in any way, shape or form, neither is my wife for that matter, we had that conversation. It's like, okay, we're not, but at the same time, it's important for him to understand it.
100%.
And for him to get older and him at 6 and from, for the rest of his life, at least have an understanding of what the belief system is, whether he chooses to follow. You know what? That's his deal.
Well, my only problem with the way that they do it is I fully believe that you should learn about other religions and have an understanding of them. I think it's important for diversity and inclusion in the same way as when we talk about disability. It's important to have an understanding of all people, all cultures, all backgrounds, all religions. The problem is when they teach it as if it's a real thing. Yeah. Do you know, as if it's fact, like as if it's science. Yeah. Now, for someone like us who doesn't believe in that stuff, to me they're teaching children that God is 100% real and that he exists. And yes, I believe that kids should be taught about it, but they should be allowed to make their own choices about it. But when they're that young and you're taught something in school and you're told that it's real, you believe it's real.
100%.
So you're kind of set up in that environment to believe that without being given the opportunity to make that decision yourself. And that's the only issue I have. Like, it's not even an issue. Like I said, I do think that children need to learn about that stuff. But if they're going to a non-denomination school, a non-religious school, then they possibly should have it set up in a different way so that they're taught about these things, but it's not taught as if it's a real thing. It's as if it's a theology. This is what people believe. Yeah, it's a perspective, and then given the opportunity to make those choices for themselves as they grow up. So that's my thoughts.
It's a tough one, and morally as a parent, it's a tough one because I want him to have a good understanding of things and believe whatever the fuck he wants to believe.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if he chooses to believe, then that's his
absolutely.
choice. Exactly.
But he will also go through this knowing that we will support him, obviously, but it's not necessarily something that his dad believes in. Yeah,
you believe in science.
Yeah. All right.
I was going to say something then really bad, but I'm going to keep my mouth shut because I'll get into trouble, and I don't want people to think I'm a bitch because I don't mean it in that way. So I'm just going to keep my mouth shut now.
Are you sure?
Yes.
You sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
Sure, you sure?
You want me to get into trouble?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I can't even remember now.
Oh, okay. Oh,
conveniently.
How convenient. Man, that's happening to you a bit. Maybe we need to have like cue cards for you or something.
I think so.
Yeah. All right. Look, we've gone
over
a fair bit over, so we need to get the hell out of here.
Yes.
Thank you. This has been fun.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure. I can't believe I got interviewed today.
Oh, no. Was it a good interview? Did I do good?
No, you were shit. No, I'm joking. You were great. Thank you. Thank you for not asking me any hard questions. I was quite disappointed, really. I was hoping that there'd be some level of, inappropriateness there.
I've got one question for you.
Yeah.
How often in a week do you reckon you lose your keys?
I don't know. It's got to be at least 20 times.
Well, actually, it was once, but it was over a period of like 2 weeks.
Like 2 weeks, yeah. And the worst thing about it is I found the keys in the place I left them, which was in my bag, but they'd kind of slipped into the corner and into the lining a bit. So
Yes.
I didn't know they were there.
I was
so.
looking for an appropriate button, but we don't have
But
one.
you have no button. Go, my God, you're a fucking moron.
Yeah, dickhead.
All right.
All right.
Okay, we're going to love you and leave you, people. Thank you for joining us this week.
Get on socials. Like us on Facebook. Follow us
Subscribe on YouTube.
Insta.
YouTube.
YouTube. Subscribe.
You're right. You dying?
Try not to die. I mean, I made it this far. I mean,
Oh, good
did
job.
well. Drop us a comment, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Peace.
Oh, my God.
Well, that's a wrap for this week's episode of Two Cripples, One Pair of Legs. As always, we'd like to thank our studio guests for joining us, and of course to the legends at Podfire for making all of this come to life. If you like what you've heard, or even if we've offended the shit out of you, but you still want to hear more, make sure you hit the subscribe button and also check out our Insta page, twocrips.onepairoflegs, and you'll be the first to know when a new episode drops.